Absolutely. And I want to bring up this next comment as we get to Trey Lance, because I find a lot of things funny here, and I'm going to talk about it after I talk about Lance. So, Lance today, I had 4 of 6 with a sack. He had the best throw of the day by far.
Correct.
It was a sideline play on the right side, comeback by Brandon Ayuk, covered by Ambry Thomas. Believe it or not, Ambry Thomas was actually in good coverage on this one. And Trey Lance, this is a throw that I believe that only he could make on this roster. I really believe that, because it took arm strength on arm strength to make this play happen. So it's crossfield throw. What was it? I think I had it at around 20
It
yards or
was to
so.
Brandon Ayuk. I
Yep.
had the play
Hold on, let me see.
at
I've got it.
20. Yeah,
15 yards. Yep,
yeah,
15 yards.
somewhere
So
around there.
15-yard
Somewhere in the
comeback
20s.
outside of the numbers, right on the sideline, cross field, and it was good coverage. Trey Lance put it only where Brandon Ayuk could do it, and it was like as soon as he came out of his break, the ball was in his helmet. It was right there waiting for him. Got his hands up. I thought it was a hell of a grab also, because that is not an easy catch to make when you turn around and the ball's waiting for you. You got to be quick with it. And good throw by Lance. So he had the best throw of the day. He was 4 of 6 overall. He did take a sack. He did have 2 throws that certainly he would want back. The first one, it was similar actually to the Debo one a couple days ago. I'm noticing when he's rolling, when he's on the move and he's got somebody coming across, he is missing these throws. He missed the one to Debo the other day, and he missed today to Kittle. Today's miss to Kittle wasn't as bad, but it definitely was a miss, and it should have been a completion. And then he had one to Dwelly in the red zone period where same thing. Dwelly was an out pattern, and it was about 8 yards or so. Trey Lance was in the pocket, so he was not mobile. He put this one on Dwelly, but if Dwelly's going this way, he put it on this shoulder, and it should have been on this shoulder. So Dwelly had to kind of like turn and adjust to catch it, and it bounced off his shoulder and was incomplete. Those were his 2 incompletions. Not a great day by Lance, not a horrible day by Lance. He has stacked 3 decent days in a row. I would say the first day I was at camp, I gave him a B. Today, I would give him a B. Yesterday was an easy A. So that's where I would see Lance. The reason I've got this comment up here, though, is because there's a weird narrative that's happening. When Trey Lance misses these easy throws, right? It's made a big deal. But one thing I have not seen from Trey Lance, and this is something that I saw from him in college as well, and it was one of the main reasons I wanted Trey Lance to be drafted by the 49ers over a guy like Justin Fields. Trey Lance has a propensity to protect the ball. He does not put the ball in harm's way almost ever. It's actually it's incredible, right? Like he threw no interceptions in college for a full season, and you see this when he plays. He protects the football for the most part. When you watch him in practice, none of the throws that I have seen over these 3 days have been near picks. He may miss, and it may be like, oh man, that's one that you got to make, or that was a bad miss. But he's not putting the ball in harm's way. And somehow missing these throws is made a bigger deal than if a Sam Darnold, and we'll get to him in a minute, or Brock Purdy throw the ball directly in a linebacker's chest and they drop it. Somehow that's okay. And we don't count near picks, and we just gloss over that. But if Trey Lance misses a short pass, big deal. That has to be talked about, because Trey Lance is protecting the ball day in and day out. He's not putting the ball in harm's way over the 3 days that I've been there. And again, this is not new to him. This is something we saw from him in college as well. So I just find that very, very interesting, the way that some people talk about these short misses, but gloss over near picks from other players. So just an observation that I've noticed.
And it's interesting, man, because again, maybe this is definitely on the media, and maybe even I should do a better job. I feel like I do a good job of illustrating it, but maybe I should as well, because comments like this, right, where how talented are you if you can't hit a wide open flat? people gloss over the fact when Trey Lance does hit these throws. And I understand that they're easy throws, but they're throws that he needs to work on, which is why specifically in this camp, I made an emphasis in my own videos to point out I'm pointing out every single throw, and I'm detailing how Trey Lance goes through these throws. Because, in my opinion, one of Trey Lance's best plays of the day was a check down. What did he do? This one was to Braden Willis. There was pressure coming from the right side. Lance steps up, and then the offensive line holds up well. Lance goes 1, 2, 3, and then hits Braden Willis in the flat for a check down. And this is a good play. The defenders were drawn away from Willis for a few seconds. Willis had enough room where he caught the ball at 4 yards or 5 yards and was probably going to be able to turn upfield for at least 3 more yards. And this is just like, it's a play that we're just going to gloss over because it's a play that quarterbacks should make. And so the point that I'm making is it's important to understand Lance will miss some of these throws. He has to develop there, and it isn't a strength necessarily of his, but it's also important to note that when he is accomplishing this, you don't just let it slide and only point out when he's not accomplishing this. I think that that's the issue as well with these type of throws, and that's something that you've got to point out. Does he have to hit those wide open flat throws? Absolutely. But is he doing that sometimes and people aren't paying attention and only focusing on the negative? Yes.
So we know throughout training camp he has one interception, I think.
Lance, yeah.
I think there's
Ooh,
one interception. I think it was on day
I don't know
2,
if he has one, but
or maybe it
no.
was a
I don't know
near
if he has
interception.
two. Yeah. He's got near ones. He definitely had a near one on day one.
Mhm.
Or not day one.
Day
Day
2, I think.
two. I am not sure. I will check my notes and probably tweet it
Okay.
out after this on the
Okay.
interceptions that I've counted.
The point is that there's not a lot. Like, there
Correct.
might be one and then one near one, but Sam Darnold today, for example, had 2 near ones. Brock Purdy, if you're counting them, had 2 near ones. Brock Purdy yesterday did have one and had a near one. So it's like these things are happening and they're just glossed over. I don't know. I just, here's the thing. I feel like th- the days that I've been here, I've been very fair to the point today to where I said Brock Purdy had the best day. People got mad at me because I'm supposed to be a Lance guy, but I'm just telling you how I saw it.
Yeah.
I just think that we should talk about these things the way they should really be talked about. This is how I liken it. Okay, you have a player that makes multiple Super Bowls and they lose. You talk about that player and hold them extra accountable for losing in the Super Bowl. But if they had just been bounced in the first round a couple times in their career, no big deal. You don't even,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's like once you get there, you better win it. Otherwise, you're not clutch. But that's worse somehow than losing in the first round repeatedly. We don't hold that player as accountable as much. Same thing happens with basketball talk all the time. So that's the way that I see this situation. It's like, yeah, sure, he's missed a couple dump offs for sure. He needs to complete those passes, but somehow that's worse than not protecting the football. That's where I have the issue. So, anyways, that's my little rant. I'm off of it, but I had to start that comment because it's definitely something that I meant to talk about, and it went hand in hand with what I was going to talk about.
Real quick though on Lance, the one thing I do want to say is I do believe, like, we talk about consistency, and I don't think Lance has been inconsistent, but one thing that's been clear to me, he's had some of the best throws on every single day and some of the
Mhm.
worst throws on every single day. It's
Except for
not like,
yesterday, he didn't have any bad
except for
throws
yesterday.
yesterday.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yesterday that's why he earned an A grade. And I'm
Mhm.
a little lower on the quarterbacks than you today. Like I said, I think I'll have Purdy probably slide in as a B. Lance is a B minus today. They're fairly even, but still a little lower there. But Lance to me today, right? 4 of 6, like you pointed out, some really nice throws, and some balls where he obviously pushed it down the field as well. But he does have some misses, and that's the things he's got to work on. It's just important to hold the double standard. Don't just say it for one side. You got to say it for both sides. And you're hearing from our reports here. I'm not saying either quarterback had an A day. And when I tweet out that Brock Purdy had the best day as a quarterback because of his accuracy and pointing out that he threw to multiple sides of the field, I'm not saying that I believe Brock Purdy had the best day of camp itself. I honestly believe that's gone to Trey Lance with his performance yesterday. And so that's important to know. Just because when we're isolating one specific day and pointing out somebody who had a good day on that specific day doesn't mean that it's, you can translate it to other days and compare it unless you read the full context, hear what we have to say, read our reports, things like that. And that's why we're here trying to give you guys the most informative, talk about training camp.